Another day, another real world test. Today we're doing on the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, the big boy. And we're doing this a bit after launch, so we have all of the promised updates and all of the hype has died down. As per the usual, we'll take this phone out all while we explore. Now, I apologize if you saw my Pixel 9 Pro real world test, as there's gonna be a lot of overlap in this video because they're so similar, obviously. But we'll explore some new places and we'll put it against new phones. But first things first. Coffee. Check. And welcome to Coffee Check. As if I'm not busy enough, I've spent the last 8 months designing and building a coffee shop, coffee roastery, and a production space here in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I'm sorry for the delay in me doing videos and content still, but here's why. Now we have espresso drinks, multiple matchas from a great supplier, killer chais and teas from another. We bake pastries here. We just started doing pour-overs. We have cold brew, etc. I'm trying my best to do this properly. Now if you're in New York City, come check it out. I already have an amazing team of baristas here to help you with whatever you need. And if you're not here, I actually also partnered with a local roastery while I wait for the permits for my own roastery to create a medium light roast that we use as our main drip coffee here. But also we now sell single origin beans from some of our favorite local roasters as well. And you can buy some of that yourself from the link below and let me know what you guys think. I really appreciate the support. Now firstly, in the Pixel 9 series, we now have 4 devices. We have 2 Pro models that are basically the same except for the physical size and the battery size. The more budget-friendly Pixel 9, which sacrifices a bit to hit a better price point, and the Pixel 9 Fold that, well, folds. So it's kind of in its own category despite sharing a naming structure now. Now all of them though might be the nicest looking phones to me to come out in 2024. And again, we've talked about Ivy Ross in the past, Google's head of hardware and her jewelry and metalworking design background, and how since the Pixel 6 especially, it's become more and more prevalent in the design of the phones. But this series adds some new design elements now that I think make this series feel just a lot more refined. Specifically, we have flat sides now, which I like, but we also have a new camera pill as well instead of a bar. And here on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, that has a matte metal, which is a nice contrast to the glossy sides. And we still have our matte glass back. The Pixel 9 just has that flipped with a glossy back and matte metal sides. Now, you might think the Pixel 9 Pro is the direct sequel to the Pixel 8 Pro, but when you put the 2 new Pros next to the Pixel 8 Pro, you can tell it's actually much closer to the XL than the non-XL. The 9 Pro XL has a 6.8 inch screen versus the 6.7 of the 8 Pro, but the 9 and the 9 Pro both have 6.3 inch screens. The screen is brighter on the 9 Pro XL compared to the 8 Pro, and the Pixel 9 is actually closer in brightness to the 9 Pro XL than the 8 Pro is, but still not quite as bright. While all of these have 120 Hz or 120 frames per second displays for smoother animations in gaming, the Pixel 9 Pro XL, like the Pixel 8 Pro before it, can adjust that down to 1 Hz when static images are on the display to save power, compared to the 60 Hz of the Pixel 9. Honestly, the screen is great, it's smooth, has good contrast, the colors feel good, and the phone again just looks great, but also it just feels good. Now, if you don't want to worry about other people on the coffee shop Wi-Fi, today's sponsor might be a good call. ExpressVPN. If you're not familiar, a VPN is a virtual private network, and it's a secure server that your phone, tablet, or computer connects through to then provide some clever benefits. First, your data is encrypted, so others on the network can't access your data, especially on public Wi-Fi, which is where hackers tend to camp out and scan for people putting in their bank info or passwords, etc., making it much harder to hack you. It also allows you to browse much more anonymously, so advertisers, your ISP or internet service provider, etc., have a harder time tracking you online. And lastly, you can unblock content on, say, a streaming service that limits what content you can see by country just by tapping and changing what country you want to appear to be coming from. I used it to watch Lord of the Rings on Netflix. Simple. ExpressVPN is easy to use. Just open the app and tap one button. Works on all devices, including routers, so you can protect everyone on your network at once if you wanted to. And again, it encrypts your data, makes you more anonymous, and helps stop ISPs and advertisers from tracking you. Find out how you can get 4 months free by scanning the QR code on the screen, clicking the link below, or by going to expressvpn.com/theunlocker. Welcome to Chelsea Market, which by the way was bought by Google in 2018 and is a huge building that is a marketplace of various restaurants, shops, and art exhibits. We're gonna spend a little time here today actually, but first up is one of those art exhibits. This is Art Tech House, which is a space meant to support the creation of experiential art. It's art plus tech plus house. It's essentially a blank canvas space with some pretty serious projectors that digital artists can create art for, which is cool to kind of give them a home for that. They also sometimes do live shows, XR exhibits, and even have their own content studio called Art Tech House Studio to make some custom exhibits for the space. Now the project live at the moment is called Submerge, and it's a year-long showcase that features various digital artists that participated in a year-long open call for submissions and rotates them every 4 months with their art designed specifically for the 270-degree 18K resolution canvas in here. Now today we have some 3D dreamscapes and yes, some AI-driven narratives as well, because of course. And with that, this seems like a good place to talk about the AI-enhanced cameras on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Now on paper, we have very similar cameras to the Pixel 8 Pro. We have a 50 megapixel f1.7 aperture 1 by 1.31 inch sensor with 1.2 micron sized pixels, which is the same as the Pixel 8 Pro, but also the Pixel 9. Then we have the same 48 megapixel f2.8 1 by 2.55 inch 5x optical telephoto camera, which is one of the things that the Pixel 9 loses to reduce its price. But then we have an ultra wide that's actually changed. It still is a 48 megapixel camera, but it has a faster aperture, which lets in a bit more light at f1.7 instead of f2.0, and it does do better in low light. It's also a hair wider at 123 degrees field of view versus 126, and again, this new sensor is on the Pixel 9 as well. Now on the front, we have a new 42 megapixel f2.2 camera that's also slightly wider at 17 millimeter equivalent versus the 10.5 megapixel f2.2 20 millimeter equivalent on the Pixel 8 Pro. And that's actually the same front-facing camera sensor that the Pixel 9 keeps. Again, another sacrifice to help with the price. And as mentioned, all of the cameras on the Pixel 9 Pro are the same as the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And in general, I'd say the images are going to be similar, at least between all of these phones, especially now that they've all been updated to the same version of Android. For video, we have the same capabilities across the board with up to 4K 60 on all of the cameras on the Pixel 9 Pro, 9 Pro XL, 8 Pro, and 9. Except that the 9 Pro and the 9 Pro XL have 8K 30 listed in their options, but that's after using something called Video Boost. And that's a good segue into the AI software things that we have for the camera here. If you're not familiar, Video Boost, which launched with the Pixel 8 Pro, basically allows you to let Google's cloud servers process the video after you take it and increase the shadows, brightness, colors, all that stuff. Basically, it's trying to do some editing for you that it thinks you might want. It also upscales to 8K if you want as well. The downside is that you have to wait for it to upload, get processed, and come back with a notification letting you know that it's done. And it takes a while, anywhere from a few hours to a couple of days in very rare cases for me with longer videos. It's kind of a neat concept though, I think. Now though, they have added night sight video, which specifically now is for taking videos at night, but it works in a similar way. There's also Super Res Zoom, which uses AI to enhance zoomed in videos in a similar way to how they've done this for photos for a while already. And all of these features, by the way, are exclusive to the Pro models. But at this point, these all have been added via software update to the Pixel 8 Pro as expected. The Pixel 9, however, doesn't get them. And on the photo side, again, we don't get Pro controls like we do with the Pro models because, you know, obviously the word Pro is missing, right? And what the Pixel 9 does get from the Pixel 9 Pro XL though, that the Pixel 8 Pro does not, is Add Me. Now this is a new software feature that lets you take a photo of your friend, for example, and then have that friend come take the phone from you and swap places to have it automatically add you into the photo, which is a nice alternative to a selfie. Other than that, we have our usual editing features that we're used to at this point. Audio eraser to remove audio from videos, magic eraser to remove things, magic editor to have some basic Photoshop tools that are easier to use, but can also add in generative AI items, which works pretty well, actually. Now I will say though, that a lot of these features are useful, even if not being used very often. And it's handy to have them right on the phone in a simpler way than using something again like Photoshop. And the features that you use while capturing are handy too, even if some of them take a while to work. But as always, I'll let you guys be the judge based on the photos and videos that you see in this video. Okay, now we're heading to another spot inside Chelsea Market called La Devozione, which translates to, you guessed it, the devotion. Now it's from the dried pasta makers called Pasta di Martino and is their first brick and mortar location in the United States. It's comprised of a coffee and cocktail bar, a retail shop, and a casual dining spot called A Tavola. Today though, we're at the other place they have in here called The Oval, which is a 30-seat chef's counter inside La Devozione, where you have a choice of L'Artuno, a 7-course tasting menu plus dessert, a Peak, a 4-course tasting menu and dessert, dessert, or an a la carte menu. Now, because I haven't eaten much today and I need as much footage as possible when doing these videos, we're gonna go for that 7-course. Each item is prepared in front of you at the round bar and is cooked well and simple. Okay, let's talk about some of the non-creative AI software features here. We still have call screening, which talks to your caller using AI, and I've always appreciated it and actually kind of miss it a bit when I switch phones. Same for the voice recorder that can automatically transcribe and even label speakers, which is super handy for interviews, for example. And the voice to type is second to none. Then there are the new features, and even some that were updated months after the phone came out. Gemini, which while not new, is the main assistant now on the phone. I actually find that I want to use it more than I did the Google Assistant, and I like the walkie-talkie-esque way of doing so by holding the power button to talk and letting go to let it know that I'm done, which also helps with it recognizing what you're saying, by the way. It's great for controlling device features. Setting timers, alarms, events are the main things that I do with it, and occasionally ask it low-risk questions that I'd have Googled instead, mainly because it's good at understanding me through voice. And it's actually great for translations, even as images, which is handy. I even started to try and get it to count things for me, or other things that I want AI to do for me that would actually make it useful because it's things that I don't want to do. And while impressive that it can do some of these things, it still makes mistakes enough that it's hard to trust it, which then limits how often I use it for anything that is even remotely important that it's right. So while I am actually starting to see good uses for this, especially doing menial things like math, counting, translating, etc., it's still not trustworthy enough for a lot of that stuff yet. But I'm truly excited actually for the day when that might hopefully come. Now, something that is new is that it got an update for a live conversation mode, which allows you to talk to Gemini conversationally without needing to start and stop. Personally, I'm not sure I'm the person to use this, but maybe for brainstorming of some sort, I could maybe see some people liking it. And then we have pixel screenshots, which is actually a feature that I love the idea of when I saw it. To me, it seemed like a better version of Recall, the feature that Microsoft launched that recorded everything on your computer so that you could easily go back and find anything that you've ever done, and then promptly unlaunched thanks to security concerns. This way, though, you had to screenshot something, and then it would be indexed and searchable based on context, i.e. show me red hats, when was that concert time, etc. But I find myself just not using it very much, even at all, after months with the phone. The long and short of it, I think, is that I feel like it needs to be better integrated with the rest of the AI on the phone. Like, I should be able to take a screenshot, and that would just give Gemini another source to pull from, instead of having to use the specific Pixel Screenshots app, maybe? And maybe that's touching on something here. Everything feels like it has potential to be useful, but isn't quite useful enough yet. But this is, of course, most generative AI assistants these days, and it's not limited to the Pixel 9 Pro XL by any means. Okay, for battery, here's my screen out time and my usage for today, for those that are curious. But keep in mind, today was a real world test day and not a normal day, and I used my camera way more than you ever would. So here's another day that was not a real world test day, so you have something else to compare it to. And I'll say the battery life is good. It's better than the Pixel 9 Pro, which should come as no surprise considering it has a larger battery, and it definitely feels like an improvement over last year. Ultimately, the AI features are hit or miss, but again, so are all generative AI assistants. There are at least some more useful ones here than some other phones, but regardless, it takes amazing photos as you'd expect from a Pixel. The software is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Android experiences. And if you want a smaller phone, you can go for the Pixel 9 Pro. If you want the bigger battery and extra battery life that comes with that and want a bigger screen, then the Pixel 9 Pro XL is a good choice. Also, it helps that there are sales already on the phone, which I'll, as always, link to the best one that I can find below. Thanks again to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. Find out how you can get 4 months free by scanning the QR code that's on the screen, clicking the link below, or going to expressvpn.com/theunlocker. There you go, guys. Let me know what you thought of the phone, of this video, in the comments below. Always appreciate hearing from you guys. And I'm gonna go home now and pass out in a carb coma. Good night. Where you have a choice of La Artuno? Artuno? There's so many U's in that word. So many U's in the word, I don't know. Not sure how to pronounce that one. Lartuno? Artuno. Kind of butchered either way.